Beyond lifetimes. Blood and fires of the Phoenix. Lyra didn't remember how she reached the hallway. Only that the door closed behind her, and suddenly the air felt too thin. She pressed her back against the wall, heart hammering, breath uneven. What the hell just happened? Her fingers brushed her lips. Still warm. Still his. Why did I let him kiss me like that? She whispered to herself, shaken. Why didn't I stop him? Why didn't I even want to? She squeezed her eyes shut. I love Nathan, she said aloud, as if saying it might anchor her. So why did my body melt like that? Why did I feel like if he didn't stop, I wouldn't have either? Her chest tightened. And Sid, she breathed, panic creeping in. I felt it with Sid too. That pull. That same ache. That same almost. She covered her face with her hands. Am I just weak? Am I just craving attention? Touch? Love? Her voice cracked. Or is there something wrong with me? The fire inside her stirred. Then, Mirafria spoke. Lyra. Her steps slowed. Her breathing steadied, not because the confusion was gone, but because the voice was ancient, calm, certain. Do not blame yourself. Lyra swallowed. Then tell me why, she whispered. Tell me why I couldn't resist him. There was no judgment in Mirafria's answer. Only truth.
Because it was not you alone who reached for him. It was me, Lyra, your phoenix fire, Mirafria. You and I are one now. I wanted to bond with Michael's fire, Illyrian's fragment, sustained by my heart fire, one of the fires I had to shed to follow Illyrian when he traveled through space and time to survive annihilation.
Lyra's heart skipped. You wanted that? Yes. Mirafria's presence wrapped around her, warm and steady.
Lyra. Michael carries a fragment of Illyrian. Until now, that fragment was dormant, watching, waiting. Tonight. He chose you. Not halfway. Not in doubt. Not in restraint. He chose you fully. That's when the dormant fire, dwelling in him, awakened, and now it is breathing on its own, without being dependent on Illyrian's core. It has to break free and awaken, so that Illyrian and Nathan will be fed and not fade. Or otherwise, Illyrian will die. And so is his vessel, Nathan. Illyrian and I are eternal fire spirits, taking the form of a phoenix. In order for us to survive and continue to exist, we must feed each other's fire, and that is achieved through the bonds of our chosen vessels. Illyrian calls to me, and I answer, just as the vessels do. If Illyrian, who lives within Nathan and his fragments within Sid and Michael, calls to me, and I, who dwell within you, hear that call, I will answer through you. And that is the reason you couldn't resist intimacy with any of them. That is why you melted under Michael's touch. The same way you did with Sid. Even though you love Nathan, it was never betrayal. It was resonance. But if Illyrian fully unites with Nathan, then you will answer only to him. Right now, the fragments began to breathe on their own. Because of Nathan's hesitation. Because of his fear to finally choose you. To love you without restraint. Without doubt. Without fear.
Nathan carries the core of Illyrian. The core is choice, endurance, devotion that does not retreat. Illyrian is testing him, not by power, but by heart. Sid carries a living fragment of Illyrian, one sustained by your spirit fire. His fire calls yours when you needed balance. Suppressing that bond would tear him apart.
And Michael? Lyra asked quietly. Michael's fragment is different. Mirafria's flame pulsed once deep, ancient. It is the fragment of choice fulfilled. It awakens only when the bearer stops running. Lyra closed her eyes. He stopped tonight, she whispered. Yes. That is why you melted. Not because you were weak. Not because you were faithless. But because your fire was finally answered. You have been waiting long enough to be chosen. Your heart grew weary, hoping that Nathan would finally choose you and love you openly. That longing gave the fragments breath. And now they are alive. They will be drawn to you. And they will call you the moment you feel unloved, abandoned, or unwanted. Lyra let out a long, unsteady breath. So I'm not betraying anyone. No. Mirafria's voice was firm now, unwavering. You are surviving a system built on love, and on fragments that cannot exist without it. Lyra leaned her head back against the wall, eyes burning. Then what am I supposed to do? She asked softly. Mirafria did not answer at once. Because this was not a question fire could decide. It was a choice only Lyra could make. Lyra whispered to herself. I can't let Illyrian and Nathan die because I refused the call. Because I suppressed the fragments. Because I denied your fire, Mirafria. She swallowed, her heart tight. Nathan, hurry. Unite with Illyrian. Before the day comes when I answer the call. Not because fire compels me, but because my heart already wants to. On the next episode, Lyra will bump into another situation. Another encounter she never anticipated. One that quietly, mercilessly revives the ache of her lost love. It is not loud. It does not announce itself. But it settles into her chest all the same. Another presence. One she cannot simply ignore. One that slips past her defenses and presses against the hollow she thought had learned to stay silent. And somewhere close, Sid finally moves. As the fragment fire within him stirs, the spirit fire answers. It begins as a tremor. A slow, deliberate pulse, beating in time with Lyra's unrest. Heat coils. Power wakes. What has waited patiently inside Sid can no longer remain still. Two fires begin to respond. Two paths start to converge. And the moment Lyra feels the ache sharpen again, fate is already moving.